probably help. Do I have to have it attached to this? Okay, whatever. Don't break anything. Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is with great honor to welcome to the stage our guests of honor. Please remember, tissues will be handed out at the end of the panel. Thank you very much. Please give a warm welcome to Brianna White.
Hi everyone, thanks for coming out. Thanks for joining me for my panel. I'm so excited. So I thought that I was just going to have to sit up here and talk for an hour, but now I have a moderator who's going to ask me questions and is going to help me talk. So thank you for being here.
Of course, it's such an honor that you're able to come out and support our convention, and it's great to have you here. Let's give Brianna a round of applause. A very warm welcome. Thank you, everyone. I'm Laura C. I've been in the cosplay community for about, in case no one knows, for about 18 years or so. So I've been around the cosplay scene for a while. So it's always an honor for YoobiCon to ask me to come back to help all these wonderful fun events. So this is an honor to be here.
You look amazing, by the way.
Oh, thank you. No, you look amazing.
You
I love
look
this.
amazing.
I love this pink moment that you have.
Thank
Like,
you.
Yeah,
Thank
I
you
love
so
it. It's very
much.
coquette.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so we're gonna get started with different categories about like your background, your journey, your voice acting experience, landing such iconic roles, but also
Roles singular.
Yeah,
One
role.
One iconic role.
Manifesting for you though.
Oh yes,
Yes.
absolutely.
And maybe industry insights, and maybe like personal and future projects. Then we'll have some fan questions too as well.
Perfect.
Okay, so we're gonna start off with background and journey. So Brianna, can you tell us a little bit about your background and how you got to voice acting?
Oh my gosh, that's, how far back do I start? I have wanted to be an actor since I was a little girl. I did, excuse me, my very first school play was was Annie, and I played Molly. And I was 7 years old, and I fell in love with acting, and I said, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. So I did every school play after that, and I got into NYU. I have a theater degree, and I'm from LA, so I moved back home after New York, and I decided, let's give this a go. I know it's not guaranteed, I know it's really difficult and competitive, but I'm gonna try my hardest because this is what I want to do with my life. And I really wasn't picky. Because, you know, being from Southern California, we hear lots of stories about people who want to be actors. Tons of stories. And so my family loves me and wants me to be safe and have a good career, and so they said, you know, I don't know if you should be an actor, or, you know, like, have a backup plan. And so it was kind of always part of my life that I just knew it was going to be difficult, and so I wasn't picky because of that. I was like, I'll do theater, I'll do film, I'll do TV, I'll do commercials, I'll do hand modeling, like literally anything I can get my hands on, I was willing to do. And so voice acting was one of those things. I talked about it with my agent, and I said, hey, I would love to get into voice acting, like I think I'd be okay at it. And she said, oh, well, what silly voices can you do? And I was like, I don't understand the question. So she said, she looked me dead in the eyes, and she said, everyone wants to be a voice actor, Brianna. And that was the death of my voice acting career. And so I kind of just set that dream aside for a little bit, and I said, that's okay, like, I'll focus on other stuff. And I didn't get sent out for any voice acting roles until years later. Years later, the audition for Aerith came across my desk. Yeah.
That is so incredible. Now, before Final Fantasy and before Aeris and all whatnot, you had a streaming journey too as well. So you have had a channel called TheStrangeRebel Gaming. That sounds so awesome. So can I ask you a few questions about that?
Absolutely.
Amazing! So what made you so passionate about video games, and how did that passion for gaming lead into your starting stages for your stream, TheStrangeRebel Gaming?
Yeah, my mom is a gamer. And so she bought me and my sibling a N64 for herself.
Woo! That's 64!
So that she could play Ocarina of Time. And she and me and my sibling would sit on the couch and we would all trade the controller back and forth playing the mini games. And we just, like, we would walk over to the dinner table and we would still have, like, the menu screen music playing in the background. And so, like, that music is, like, the background of my childhood, you know? And so, like, I've always been a gamer. We always have loved kind of, like, we played Diablo 2 together. We played all the, like, Shockwave games together, like, on desktop. It's just a big part of, like, how me and my family bonded, and so I've always been a gamer. But I didn't really think about myself as a gamer. I just thought of myself as someone who played video games. It wasn't really part of my, like, identity. It was just something that we did for fun. And it wasn't until I had a lot of free time after I finished with college that I was like, okay, let me play some more modern games. Let me rediscover my love for gaming, and started playing things like Fable and Dragon Age, and then Mass Effect. Things that are kind of like, if you like Zelda, you'll probably like these things. And it was about that time that a friend of mine who, have any of you watched The Real Rejects? It's like a reaction channel. So Greg is a childhood friend of mine. And so we were talking at a party once, and I was like, oh, hey, you know, what are you up to? He said, oh, I just started a YouTube channel. It's been doing really well for me. You should do it. You should do YouTube. And I was like, what would I make a YouTube channel about? Like, I act and I work, and that's it. And he was like, well, what do you do for fun? And I was like, what is that? Like, what are you talking about? I work and I act. Like, that's it. But I was kind of at that same time rediscovering my love for video games, and I said, okay, so maybe I can play video games. At the same time, I booked a role in a little YouTube short that nobody expected to do numbers or go anywhere or be that huge. It was called Princess Rap Battle, Snow versus Elsa. And I was one of the background dancers. I played Aurora, Sleeping Beauty, and that ended up getting 200 million views in, like, the first couple weeks. And it was kind of those two things happening at the same time that I was like, okay, there's something to this internet thing that maybe I can find a way to make this work with my acting career. Because that's really kind of always been my through line, is I want to be an actor. Like, how can I make that happen? And so YouTube just started as a way for me to fill my time while I was kind of waiting for acting to be a little bit more in my control.
That was very comprehensive. Thank you for that. That's amazing. The springboarding off the whole the Princess Rap Battle.
Yeah.
It's like, what was it like working on the Snow White versus Elsa rap battle? And, like, what was your reaction when you had, like, those millions of views? Like, was it, like, shocking? Was it, like, really exciting and thrilling? Yeah.
So, Whitney Avalon, who created it on her channel, this was the first one she had ever written. She had no idea if it was going to be anything. She just wanted to do it, and she thought it would be kind of fun and silly and cool. But yeah, so it was just, I mean, it was like 10 people, all friends, all working for food, which is basically like working for free, but they, like, serve you lunch because they like you a little bit. And so, yeah, she found me, like, or she posted a casting notice on one of the, like, online casting boards. I submitted for it, and I remember I had something else going on that day, and I was like, oh, well, you know, like, if this other thing pans out, like, I'll do that, but, like, if it doesn't, then I'll come to your project. And she was like, no, like, I want to book you, like, I want you for my project. And I was like, okay, that's, all right. So I did it, and nobody expected it to be anything, and then, yeah, it went hugely viral. This was at the time, like, Frozen had just come out, and everyone was still, like,
Let It Go could not get out of our heads. And so anything Elsa related just like exploded. And it's a very, very clever, fun YouTube video. It's literally Snow White rapping like a rap battle against Elsa. If you've never seen it, it's very cute and clever and funny, but I really can't keep talking about it or the song is gonna get stuck in my head again. It truly, I mean, this is like 6-7 years ago. And still it's stuck in my head. So yeah, when it first hit its 1 million views, we had a party. And that was super, super fun. Yeah, it was super, super fun.
Party, that's so awesome. But did you guys hear that? That's your homework for later tonight. You need to watch the Elsa and Snow White rap battle. You guys hear that? Add that to your to-do list.
That will not be the only homework assignment for the day, but the first one.
At least one of them. That's so awesome. So it's been very exciting to see your streaming like grow tremendously, and your channel is awesome, by the way.
Thank you.
Before getting the role of Aerith, what was that process for growing your channel, TheStrangeRebel Gaming?
Yeah, like I said, content creation was something that I just kind of did because it was fun, it filled my time, and it was something that was completely in my own creative control. When you're an actor, you really just, if you have an agent, you kind of wait for your agent to send you an email saying, hey, I have an audition for you, and then you do that 1,000 times, and you sometimes book a role like one time, and it's really just acting as a lot of like trying and not doing much. And content creation was different because at the end of it, I had something that I had made that I could put on the internet and people would sometimes watch it. And that just like really satiated my like creative needs. And so I posted videos for the first couple years, not really expecting anything, honestly. And I started my first channel with my sibling, and we called it Sibling Rivalry Gaming. And so the two of us really learned together how to create content, how to play games. The first video we ever posted, we filmed it 3 times, and we lost the footage the first 2 times. Like, it was really, really difficult. It's very, very hard. But because we're friends, we kind of learned through it together. I remember at one point, we were filming in my sibling's room, and there was a ceiling fan above us, and I don't know, like, if over time just it grew wonky or whatever, but at one point the ceiling fan came crashing down on us. Like, we went through the ringer in those early days. About 6 months-ish later, my sibling went back to school, didn't really have time to do the content creation thing anymore, and so at that point I decided to rebrand it to StrangeRebel Gaming. But I wanted to keep the, like, SR, so that's where StrangeRebel comes from. It started Sibling Rivalry and became SR Gaming, and now it's StrangeRebel Gaming. So really it's just been a lot of trial and error and posting to see what works. And then of course, listening to feedback from people who watch my content. All the people that are wonderful and sitting here and watching my content. I read every single comment on my YouTube channel. And I still do. So that doesn't work for a lot of people because YouTube comments can be kind of rough. But when I was starting out, yeah, there were some mean people, but for the most part, people were like very nice. And for the most part, like, they said, hey, love your content, you are so fun, this rapport that you have is really funny, but like the background that you chose is really distracting. And I would go, oh my gosh, that makes total sense, and I would learn from that and kind of try to make my content better from that. So then that was just years of that. Just years of trying to find what works, trying to find what is fun, trying to find what people want to see, and just continuing to make content for years and years and years.
That's so wonderful. Now, back on that idea of streaming. Does anyone do streaming in here too as well? Anyone? I see a couple of hands. How about many of you watch streaming? Yeah, so literally everyone.
Look at all those hands.
Literally everyone in here. Mm-hmm. That's wonderful. So if it's in the back of your minds, let's ask Brianna, what are some things do you think people do not realize if you're trying to get into the career of streaming?
Oh gosh, I would say when you're first starting out, don't expect it to become a career. I would say let it be fun first, because streaming is a unique career because for 99% of people it's extremely unrewarding.
And that's actually very similar to acting. There are a lot of similarities there. A lot of it is you'll put something out there and nobody will watch it or nobody will like it. Just like acting, you'll go into 1,000 auditions and maybe book one. So they're very similar in that way. So my recommendation is always to find the fun of it and whatever that means for you. So if the fun part for you is editing and you really like putting things together in different orders and like putting memes up on the screen and like choosing the best background music, like find what's fun for you, and that's what makes your content special. For me, I really like collaborating with other people, and so I had a whole year where I just focused on collaborating with other streamers, and I would have people come into my studio, and some of those people are still like my closest friends today. So you ultimately have to just find what's fun about it, because there are so many parts of streaming content creation that are just completely thankless. There will be work that you put in that you will get nothing back out of it, and that's just part of it. But if you find what's fun about it, it will always be worth it in the end.
That's so wonderful. Thank you for sharing that. Throughout your journey when you were going to college at NYU, was there like a specific moment or like a spark of inspiration that made you feel like you wanted to pursue this certain career path? Or as you were going through college, did you have like an idea of where you might land?
Yeah, so I would say that my entire acting career up until college had all been musical theater. And so I didn't have a lot of experience with any other types of acting, and NYU was really good for broadening my horizons in that way. So NYU, I did take a commercial voiceover class, and I took a few singing and dancing classes, but also just like straight theater acting classes. And then for my last year there, I spent the entire year just doing film and TV acting and on-camera acting. And so learning from all those different teachers and all those different styles helped me refine what I do like to do and what I don't like to do. And what I found I do not like to do is improv, because it is very scary to go up on stage and have people expect you to be funny. Like, if you're accidentally funny, that's one thing, like, it's a bonus, right? But if you go up on stage and people want you to be funny, that's very scary. So that's not the life for me. That's what I learned.
100%. All right, let's get into like the voice acting whole part.
Sure.
So when you found out that from your agent, when you heard that there was a possible role, what was it like to prepare for that role of Aerith?
So, as I said, I kind of had put voice acting aside, and then I get this audition, and I had no business auditioning for this, but the casting director had seen my demo reel for like on-camera acting and said, oh, her voice could work, and so offered me the audition. And I thought, I've never done any voiceover roles whatsoever. Like, I have no experience. I really have no business doing this role, but how fun, because I was a gamer, so I knew about Final Fantasy. I knew what an amazing character this was, and I said, well, I'm going to go in and have like the best time of my life auditioning for this, and then I'm not going to be able to tell anybody about it because I signed an NDA. But I was like, you know what, like, let's just go in and have the time of my life, because this is probably like the biggest project I'll ever be able to like audition for, and I'm never going to get it, but that's okay. So I watched a little bit of Advent Children. I did my research on the character and the story, and I listened to all of her previous voices. So I listened to all of her English voice actresses, and I also listened to Maya Sakamoto, her Japanese voice actress. And then I just sat at my streaming desk, my streaming microphone, and I said some lines. And then I listened to them back, and then I said, I think it needs a little bit more of this, and then tried it a different way until I found something that felt like I could proudly go into an audition with this. And then I did. And then I booked it, which was crazy.
You totally realize you are one of the most beloved franchise video game characters, right?
That's crazy.
It is crazy. Isn't that crazy?
That's crazy.
My gosh, isn't this exciting to hear all of this?
No, I still don't
I know, I
even believe that
see
it's
all the
real.
smiles. This makes me super excited. Do you have any favorite moments or lines from your time voicing Aerith?
Oh my gosh. So I have a very special attachment to the line, "Here, this is for you." As well as the line from that very first trailer when she pokes her head up at Cloud after he has his little brain spasm and she goes, "Are you okay?" That whole thing, that whole scene that was involved in the very first trailer that ever dropped, that's probably my favorite, just because that, I think, was the moment that I thought, oh my, this is really happening. That's my voice. What? No, so that scene will always live as my favorite for sure.
That's incredible. Oh my gosh, thank you for sharing that.
Of course.
So I feel like a lot of people were always curious about voice acting and the whole process of it. And we all know that that was your first role and you did a lot of acting and a lot of other different types of work in this industry. For what advice would you give to someone who is aspiring to be or become a voice actor?
Sure. So, if you would like to be a voice actor, the first thing that's the most important thing is that it is acting at its core. And so, absolutely take some acting classes. They don't have to be voice acting specifically, because I think a lot of people, watch their favorite cartoons and see their favorite characters and they go, oh, I can mimic that voice, I can imitate that voice. But when you are a voice actor, you actually have to put the emotions that are on the script through your voice and into the microphone, and it has to come out in a performance, and that's the number one thing. Doing silly voices, that's actually, even though my agent was like, oh, what voices can you do? Literally, that is not what voice acting is. It's not the silly voices, it's not the imitations or the impressions. It's going to be acting. It's going to be the emotional control and output. And so take some acting classes and so much practice, and then again, find the fun in it. Because it's one of those careers where it might not come to anything, but if you are having fun, that will be value in itself. And then, if you get lucky, you get to have a dream job, which is really, really, really cool.
I love that. Your voice is an absolute tool in your industry and everything that you work with. Are there any particular techniques or practices that you use to maintain your vocal health, especially during long recording sessions when you had to say a certain line 6 or 7 times, and then the director would be like, okay, well, do it again, do it with this energy. Was there a way that you had to preserve your voice as you were doing this?
Oh my gosh. So having had no experience in voice acting whatsoever, and then being pretty much kicked into the deep end of the pool with one of the most technically challenging types of voice acting, which is localization. So it was a very intense learning process, and I had to just learn through trial and error all through the course of recording Remake. And I can hear those differences from the beginning of the recording process to the end. And in my playthrough, you can actually see when I bring things like that up. But it was totally total trial and error, trial by fire even. And so I had to learn even things so much as, do I want room temperature water, cold water, or hot tea? Should my hot tea be herbal or caffeinated? Should it have lemon or honey in it? Do I need tissues to clear my nose? At some point, I started taking a Claritin before every single voiceover session because I have such a small, soft palate. I'm not kidding. It is this technical. The microphone picks up every sound. Every single sound that you have never heard from your own vocal cords. Just clicks at the back of my throat. Just literally, I mean, the most detailed stuff. So much. I remember at one point, remember that my favorite line that I was telling you about? Here, this is for you. At one point, I'm saying this line, and they keep telling me, there's a whistle coming in on your F. Can you say your for you without whistling? And I'm like, I don't hear what you're talking about at all. Here, this is for you. Here, this is for you. Here, this is for you. We did it so many times, and these are things I never, ever, ever expected. And luckily, the team just worked with me. They knew I had no experience, and they were willing to just sit with me and teach me these things so that I could figure it out. Yeah, vocal health is super, super important. The most important thing is rest, because ultimately like the tea and the honey, and it's great, but rest is really the only thing that can keep you good.
Yeah, that's spectacular. Thank you for sharing that with us. Like, I know some microphones, they can pick up any literal sounds,
Yes.
like clicks and buzzes and hums and like, almost can pick up your thoughts. I'm just kidding.
Oh, but for real, it's scary.
Let's see here. Okay, back to industry insights.
Sure.
Are there any common misconceptions about voice acting that you would like to clear up that you would want the audience to know about?
Oh gosh, common misconceptions about voice acting. Well, I mean, we kind of already covered the big one, which is that if you think it's just kind of impressions and mimicking your, like, I can do a good Joker, that's great, but that's not really going to make you a career. One of the more fun things that I was able to do in a voice acting class was building a voice just from a picture. So that's super fun if you ever want to try that out. Take a picture online of a character that you have never heard their voice before, if they have one, or if maybe they're not voiced at all. So like some of the old Final Fantasies that haven't been voiced would be a super fun idea. You can take some of the monsters, or you can take some of the like villains and try to, how would this character sound in my opinion? And go, okay, is their voice high-pitched, low-pitched? Does it have a clarity, or does it have rasp? Is it a raspy voice? Do they speak super, super fast because they're really animated and really excited, or do they talk kind of slow? There are lots of different ways that you can kind of experiment with how a different character sounds, and that's going to be the most important thing, is not creating an imitation or mimicry. It's really like just kind of experimenting and playing and coming up with a character voice that's all your own and is completely unique to you.
That's wonderful. Thank you. Our next question is, how has the voice acting industry changed since you started a few years ago, and where do you see it heading in the future?
So, the acting industry is in a real place right now, with all of the introductions of generative AI and how that's affecting the voiceover industry specifically. You know, the video game voice actors, some of the companies are striking right now, there are a lot of protections that we need as voice actors, because what we do is an art form, and a lot of companies don't understand that, and they want to use generative AI to make things cheaper, which is not inherently a bad thing, of course, but when it's at the cost of not being able to bring a real human life and voice to a character, that's really problematic. And ultimately, I don't think that's what people want, but that's just my opinion, I guess. So that's kind of made things really tough just in the most recent times. But another thing that's really cool about what's going on right now is that voice acting is more accessible than ever before. So microphones are getting better quality and they're getting less expensive. You don't necessarily need a huge audio setup with an interface and XLR. You don't even need any of that. You can use a USB mic if you just want to like start out as a voice actor, start practicing. You can use, like, Blue is a really great product. You can use like a Blue Yeti or a Blue Snowball just to start voice acting. And there are tons of people who are making their own projects right now to put online that need voice actors but don't have huge SAG union budgets, and they need people with their USB microphones. So there are tons of projects that are just like casting online. The internet has made things a lot more accessible, and home studios are a lot more common ever since the COVID pandemic. So I would say that you know, it's such a weird place for like big budget productions right now, but for everybody else, it's like a really, really cool time to start voice acting. It's really more accessible than ever before.
What's the rewarding part about being a voice actor?
Coming to events like this.
A round of applause, yes.
It's really wonderful to be able to stream and to connect to my community online. And I've been doing that since, 2017, 2016, and I love that. But there's a special joy in seeing people's faces and getting to meet the people behind the usernames. So I love coming to events like this and people who come to my table or to my booth and they're able to, you know, tell me how much the character means to them and how much my work means to them. That I just always get very emotional about it because it's a really hard job for a lot of reasons, and being able to hear that it was all worth it from somebody is absolutely the most rewarding part. So thank you all for being here. I really, really mean that.
So, you're so cool. We're going to talk about some personal and maybe some future project, whatever is allowed that you can tell us. I wrote these questions last night, everyone, so bear with me. Are there any upcoming projects that you're excited about that you can legally share with us? Maybe personal projects on your channel?
Nope. No. For my channel, we're currently streaming Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. We're in the middle of it. We're at the Gold Saucer right now. I'm on a date, and I'm playing a bunch of mini games. So that I'm really excited about because I feel like we've come so far, but we still have so far left to go in the game. So that's something that I'm really enjoying. I'm really excited about to see kind of like where the rest of the game goes, to finish the game. Goodbye. And when Rebirth is done, I have an entire long list of games from the backlog to start picking up again. So Last of Us Part 2 I'd like to pick up again, and the original Final Fantasy VII I'd like to pick up again, and I still have to play Final Fantasy 16. So for the streaming, it's all just like once I finish Rebirth, it's going to be to the backlog with me. That's going to be awesome.
I always feel like, as many of us who are gamers, we all have like a game backlog of games that, you know, buying games is one thing, is one hobby, but then playing them and making time for them is totally another. Am I right?
Separate
Right?
things. Yeah.
Speaking of gaming and whatnot, how do you balance your professional work with like your personal life and hobbies and things?
Poorly. Very poorly.
This is all of us.
Yeah. My life is it feels like juggling plates, and I'm juggling like 800 of them, and they're all very important, but I cannot actually juggle at all. So then I'm kind of, I drop one over here, and then I'm like racing to get this one, and then this one kind of falls over, and then this one, then I get my knees involved. It very much feels chaotic all the time. It feels like I'm failing at it all the time, like streaming. Like, there are some streamers who that is all they do. They stream 12-hour streams, and they stream 4 days to 5 days a week, and that's great. I cannot do that, not even a little bit. And so I stream when I can, and then I come to events like this, and then I have auditions that I have to do, and then I have family that I have to see, and so it's a huge balancing act. And I think if it feels like you're failing, you might be doing it right. That's what I'm gonna go with. Yeah.
1,000%. I think this is all of us, to be high-key all of us. Let's see. What are some of your hobbies or interests outside of gaming and voice acting and other things?
I would sure have to have a lot of time to have hobbies outside of gaming and work. No, I have a real love. This is so cliche. I promise that this is not like a bit. I actually really like plants. So that's from my dad. My dad really loves nature. He loves the outdoors. He loves plants. He loves gardening. He loves to like grow food. And so I got that from him. I kind of yoinked that little love for plants from him, and so we actually have an appointment later this week to go shopping for plants together. I'm really excited about it, yeah. So if I'm not streaming, it's because I'm shopping for plants with my dad. Please forgive me. So I'm very excited about that. Yeah, I do like plants. I would say that's probably my number one like hobby besides gaming, besides acting, and besides like family. Like, I really like to spend a lot of time with my family.
love that. I feel like Plants is very on brand.
It is, and that's what I was saying. It's not a bit, I promise. Like, I really, this has kind of always been part of my life, yeah. That and, like, my dad and I used to go to, like, geode shows and rock conventions, and so that's something that we do together, too.
That's wonderful.
Personal Aerith moments
Do you have a
so
dream
far?
role, a project that you'd love to work on,
Favorite
perhaps
personal
in the future?
moments
Like,
as Aerith so far?
Okay, so this is fresh in my mind because Sailor Moon Cosmos just came out. And a lot of voice actors on my Twitter feed were like, I'm so excited to announce that I am the voice of blah 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 in Sailor Moon Cosmos, and I'm so jealous. I really want to be in a Sailor Moon, like so much. Like that's one of my favorite shows. Like ever since I was a kid, I love Sailor Moon. I would love to be involved in Sailor Moon one day. Other than that, I'd like to be a villain.
do we have any Sailor Moon fans in the house?
Yeah.
Surely.
Yes, sir.
1,000%. I'm so proud of everyone here.
I see the Sailor Moon cosplay over there.
Let's see. I think we have one more question, and then we're gonna start doing audience fan questions.
No.
Yeah.
We can't get questions. We can't trust them with questions.
Who are some of your biggest influencers or role models that you looked up to as you were doing acting and voice acting?
Oh my gosh, that's really tough. This one is sort of recent. Ever since maybe 2020, my voice acting like North Star is Jennifer Hale. She is the voice, I mean, of so many things, but my first time kind of being exposed to her was as female Shepard in Mass Effect. She has such a commanding voice in that, but she's such a warm person. And obviously she's a legend in the industry, but I also had the intense honor of having her at my digital convention called SRG Con, and she was a guest and did a panel with me all about like how to stay motivated for your life and your dreams and what you want, and that blew my mind. Just absolutely blew me away. It's on my YouTube channel if you want to take a look. If you need a little dose of light in your life, you can check that out. It's with Jennifer Hale on my YouTube channel, and she's such a light. She's such a like incredible person, and I feel so lucky that I got to talk with her. She's fantastic, absolutely role model for voice acting.
Jennifer Hale, oh my gosh, she's incredible.
Yeah.
Can we give Brianna a round of applause? That hype us up. Woo! Oh man. Thank you so much for coming out. It's so exciting. Isn't this wonderful, everyone? Yes! Okay, so we have a couple questions. We've had our wonderful organizer, Josh.
Yay,
All
Josh!
right, so I have a couple of questions. So if I say a question, stand up and wave at me so I can see where you are. Or wave at Josh too as well. Okay, let's see. Let's see if I can read handwriting. I can do this. I'm a teacher. I should be able to.
I believe in you.
Okay, from the back row.
I believe in you.
I know, I'm over here like trying my best, fair.
We can tell
Okay.
favorite personal moments as Aerith so far?
Yes.
Is that the question?
I think so. Favorite personal moments as Aeris so far?
Favorite personal moment was, oh, here's a good one. Obviously, like, there are so many good ones, but if you've played Remake, there's a moment where she's climbing up a ladder and Cloud says, be careful now or something, and she goes, I'm not some princess who needs to be coddled, and then she slips and falls and curses. When I was in the recording booth, like I was giddy, like absolutely giddy, just like, oh, I'm so excited for people to finally get to see this moment. Like literally, it was amazing. Yeah, so that's my favorite moment during recording.
I totally remembered that. That's
So good,
that's
right?
That's fantastic.
Classic comedy.
Our next question is, whether is there more?
Whether there is more directional Aeris's reaction, she is with Zach and Cloud. Green shirt.
Oh yes.
Question.
Yeah, so I wanted to know whether you had any direction from the director about the specifics relationship between Aerith and Zach, especially in Crisis Core. versus the direction you had with Aerith and Cloud in Remake and Rebirth, because it's very playful.
Yeah, so you want me to say if the director believes in Xerath or Clarith? Is that what you're asking? Because I'm not going to tell you that. No, so the director for both Remake and Crisis Core Reunion and Rebirth, they are really focused on the scene at hand, and there is a lot of all of the like sassiness and playfulness really just comes from Aerith's character, and she can dole that out to any character. But the thing with Aerith and Zack in Crisis Core Reunion is that Aerith was younger there. And she's a little bit softer, gentler, a little less sure of herself. And so Zack ends up being that foil and ends up being that playful, lively energy that she kind of, in my opinion, not in the director's opinion, she kind of learns that playful side from him. And so that's what she ends up taking into when you see her later on in Remake and Rebirth. And so I don't think anyone could really deny that she and Zack love each other, like they have a connection. But when it comes to her relationship with Cloud, all we really focus on is making sure that we tell the story and let these characters interact in an authentic way. There's no direction as far as like choosing sides or romanticness or platonicness. We don't really kind of like talk about it in grand scales like that. We really talk about it in, okay, in this line, she is telling Cloud that he cannot leave the room. And she wants him to not leave the room because she, wants to see him in the morning and walk him to Sector 7. And so we're really talking about like the nitty-gritty details of each line rather than, okay, so the overall relationship between Aerith and Cloud is this. Does that help?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I feel like any super Final Fantasy VII fan has that same question in the back of their mind. Like, like team Cloud or Team Zack or team whichever, right?
Sure.
Our next question is from our audience member, Jasmine. Would you rather voice Tifa Lockhart or keep your voice role as Aerith?
Oh my gosh, that's a great question, and I think when I first started with my audition, I thought, oh, I wonder maybe if I would like voicing Tifa more, because I consider myself a very strong character, and Tifa she's a martial artist, like she's a warrior, like she's very strong, but I think Aerith's character suits me a lot more because she is strong and sassy and playful, and her gentler side is more underneath that. Her outsides are more sassy, strong, and playful, and then her gentler side is underneath, whereas Tifa is the exact opposite. Tifa is gentle and soft and warm and caring on the outside, and then her toughness is what holds everything up underneath her. And so they're very, very similar characters, but I think Aerith's my girl, and Britt does such an amazing job voicing Tifa. I couldn't imagine a better Tifa, truly.
I love that. All right, our next question. Okay, so we did that one. Just JK.
Our next
Okay,
question.
let's check out this question. Your voice director, Kirk
Thornton. Kirk Thornton.
And audio engineer Justin, as well as some of your cast members, have teased a blooper reel. Can you give us a sneak peek at some of your bloopers?
My bloopers are very unintentional and never. My audio engineer never lets me live a blooper down, but it's usually some version of like I'm trying to yell Cloud and it comes out like a squeak on accident, or Justin's favorite is when my stomach grumbles in the booth. The mic is so sensitive it picks it up, so there's this like sound right in the middle of a line, and he will isolate it and play it back for everyone at full volume. And he'll go, "Oh, is there a monster in the booth with you today, Brianna?" So yeah, it's little tiny like things like that would end up on a blooper reel. I can't imagine any specific lines, but it's usually like my voice squeaks or there's a stomach grumble or Yeah, I mean, honestly, if we were to like flub our lines and accidentally say at instead of in or something like that, that happens so commonly it's not even funny. But yeah, the funny ones are always when you mean to say like, come with me, and you accidentally or say, come with me, and you're like, why did I say it like that? I don't know.
Come with me! Come with me!
There might be some fun ones for the Loveless play. We had a little bit of deciding at the beginning, like, how good are they at acting? Like, are they really bad? Because that was fun to try, and then we dialed it down a little bit.
Our next question comes from Rawl. My first Final Fantasy was Final Fantasy VIII. If you had a chance to voice an FF8 character, who would you choose?
That's a great question. I haven't played the game. So I would choose to voice Squall, because that's the only character I know. Renoa. I say Renoa. I don't say Renoa. I'm not a Renoa. I'm just not a Renoa. Who else? Who's the blonde one? Quistis? Quistis? Conquistador. Conquistador, yes. So that character, I one time for a web series wore glasses, and everyone in the comments said, oh my god, it's Quistis. And I was like, okay, that one then, that one. That's the one, because I've worn glasses before. That's why. Mm-hmm.
Thank you for that question. Okay, our next question comes from Tiffany. Hi, Brianna. Where are you, Tiffany? Where are you?
Hi, Tiffany.
We love your work so much. You touched upon this earlier, but how do you stay passionate and motivated about acting? And how do you stay on top of managing so many aspects of your life that are equally important?
Once again, poorly. No, it's, how do you stay motivated? Because it's a career where you hear no way more often than yes, to the tune of like hundreds. And I would say, I went into this with the thought that I don't really care if I don't make it, but I have to try. And one of the cool things about streaming is that I can have something to do and something that helps me a little bit pay my bills while I'm waiting for the acting role. And so for acting, I kind of just went into it with the mentality, and I have to go into this every fresh year, every rejection that I get, I have to go in with the mentality that this is what I love to do. I wouldn't want to do anything else. And it doesn't have to have a result, and it doesn't have to be today. But I'm in this for the long haul. So I'm metaphorically seated, leaned back, like with my snacks, like I'll wait, because this is how I want to live my life. This is what I want to do. And if I can just make a little living for myself doing what I love, I think I will die happy, you know? And then the second part of your question is, how do you stay on top of managing so many aspects of your life? Like on a practical sense, like I live and die by my calendar. And like 800 different to-do lists categorized by streaming, and then community, and then like personal, and then like acting. And then on any given day, I just sort of like pick the most urgent ones that need doing. And that's all I got. It feels like failure all the time. But we gotta keep going. Time passes. Yeah.
Wonderful. I think this one's from a Zack cosplayer. I
Hey,
think.
okay.
It says, Brianna White, will you, ... do soldier squats with me?
Oh!
All right, let's go.
I'm crying.
I didn't think so. You weren't ready. You didn't think I was going to say yes.
How about some cheering? Woo! And 1, and 2, and 3. Work it. 4, and 5, 7, 8, 9, 10.
That's so funny.
That was legendary. Thank you for that.
I had to figure out how the arms were supposed to go. But I got it. We got there eventually.
It almost reminds me of that scene when Aerith, like, you know, there was like a meme or a picture that was going around with her holding a chair.
Oh yeah, the folding chair. Uh-huh. I've already done a folding chair picture today. I don't know where he went, but yeah.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Okay, our next question is, how do you balance referencing previous VOs of Aerith and crafting your own voice for Aerith and not making an impression?
Yes, that's a really great question. So I started with Maya Sakamoto's voice, and she speaks in Japanese, and I don't speak Japanese. And that actually helps a little bit because I'm not necessarily listening to the content of what she's saying. I'm really just listening to the tone of her voice. And I picked out that she is soft, melodic, very like silky and breathy. And picking out those kind of qualities in her voice really helped me to find my version of that without necessarily even being able to copy her because she speaks a completely different language. And then listening to the English voice actors, what was interesting about them is they also come at different points of Aerith's character arc, and so she's affected in that way. So like the Advent Children version of her voice is very like, without spoiling anything, is like very angelic and soft and gentle and ethereal, and so I didn't want to bring that into my character too much because she's not at that point in her character arc. And so you kind of just figure it out in a logical kind of way based on like the story analysis and the characters and where they are in that point in time, if that helps.
That's wonderful. Is there anything else that you would like to share with our audience at KinyobiCon today?
I'm out of breath, y'all. Doing some squats. What would I like to share with you all? I've already said my thank you, and I guess I'll just reiterate that I appreciate you all being here so much because it means the world to me. This has been a super fun event. There's really good people, and I'm really glad that I came out and was invited out by Josh. Where is he?
Where'd you go, Josh?
Thank you, Josh.
Thank you, Josh.
Thanks, Josh.
Thanks, Neil.
Wheresoever you are, thank you at that place in the world.
He teleports a lot.
Yeah, I understand.
Josh is busy.
but truly, I'm very grateful to have been asked out here, and I'm very grateful to all of you for being here. Thank you for making this an incredible experience for me, especially if you watch my streams and you come up to me at my table and you say, I watch your streams, like that's the world to me. Like these are the people that like spend their time with me on like a random Monday, and we just go crazy in the chat. It's like a lot of fun. So if you would like to join me at my... Thanks, Josh! Yes, round of applause for Josh. He works so hard, and I'm so grateful to have been brought out here. That's the only reason you were snagged. I'm sorry. I just wanted to say thank you. But yes, if you'd like to join me on my stream, we are playing Final Fantasy Rebirth right now. We're at the Gold Saucer. It's a lot of fun. My Twitch tag is @TheStrangeRebel. If you'd like to find me on YouTube, it's StrangeRebel Gaming. I also have lots of other Let's Plays on there, like God of War and Life is Strange, The Last of Us, the original Final Fantasy VII Remake, and 2 episodes of the original Final Fantasy VII featuring John Bentley, who's the voice of Barrett. So that one's a really, really fun one if you want to check that out. So, oh, and that interview with Jen Hale if you want to watch that too. Everywhere else you can find me, my social media tags are on my banner. It's Brianna White on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook if you want. Would love to see you there. If we took a picture together, you can tag me in it. That'll be fun. Give it a heart. And that's all.
Okay, that we're almost done, but we have a couple more.
More
That's
questions.
okay.
We're not done.
Our audience is just really excited to have you.
As long as no one asks me to do more squats.
Yes. No more exercise. We're done for today.
Great.
All right. So hi, Bree. Do you have any funny or memorable moments working with the other voice cast of Rebirth? From Ryan.
Oh my gosh. So we actually don't record in the booth with other voice cast mates. So when I go in, I'm in there for 4 hours just by my lonesome with the director and the writer and the audio engineer. And then I sometimes, but not always, because there has to be like a little break before and after that, sometimes I get to see my fellow voice actors on their way in and out of the booth. So I've seen like Cody, I kind of like snuck by him in the hallway, and I've seen Susie in the hallway before. But really the fun times don't happen like at the audio booth. The fun times happen at like conventions. The fun times happen when we get together for conventions. Like, for example, anytime I do a convention with John Bentley, that man is hugging everyone. And at this point, I tease him that I'm gonna get one of those like counters, like a clicker counter, and I'm just gonna click every single time I see him hug someone, and we're just gonna see what the count is. I tell him if it's under 100, like he owes me $100. Yeah, we have a lot of fun times at conventions. Britt and Susie are obviously wonderful. We're going to other conventions later this year, and I'm really excited to see them again, and they're wonderful. So we have a lot of fun times, yeah.
Fabulous. This one comes from Vanessa. Are there any scenes or lines from Final Fantasy VII Rebirth that you find memorable or impactful?
Yeah, I really liked the so many in Rebirth. But I think one of my favorites that I don't talk about too often, I mean, obviously the Skywheel scene is super impactful. Everyone was like waiting with bated breath for that specific scene. I was excited while I was filming that. But the Cosmo Canyon speech that she gives is also one that was very important to me, and I sort of felt the weight of it as I was recording it, and I wanted to make sure that I did justice to that scene because I know that that's one that people look back on and gain inspiration from. And ultimately, all of my favorite scenes or lines are related to that. If there is anything that I can do as a voice actor that gives you the opportunity to take advice from these characters or take inspiration or light or happiness or anything and apply it to better your lives, like that means everything to me. So the Cosmo Canyon scene, the scene like at sunset in Costa del Sol where she's talking to Cloud about her future self, like any scene that you can glean any light from in your own personal life and it helps you move forward, those are my favorites. Those mean the world to me.
Definitely Cosmo Canyon. That was very memorable for me too as well. Thank you for sharing that. Josh, do you have one more for me?
The last question.
The last one, drum roll. I love this question. What inspires you the most?
Oh my gosh. I'm not gonna cry. It's you all. I know that I've already said it today a couple times, but when you all come to me, and I recorded Remake, I mean years and years and years ago, and you all come up to me at a convention like this and you tell me that when you watched this specific scene, like, it made you feel emotions that you haven't felt in 20 years, or you talk about how you sit and play this game with your brother or your fiance, and it like causes you to have good memories for the rest of your life, and it brings you closer with the people that you love. And then you come up to me and you tell me these stories. It just really inspires me to go into the booth next time and give it my all and give it my best and be better and do better and give you a version of this character that can live up to that legacy. So truly, that's what inspires me. It's hearing your stories. This is why I love going to events and meeting you all, truly. Thank you all.
Thank you so much to all the organizers of KenobiCon. Thank
Yes,
you to
very
all our
much.
guests, and thank you to our soundboard, our sound team, everyone who is in this room sharing this